Hey everybody, welcome back to Black Lotus, where we talk about all things strange and unusual. And today, as part of our ongoing series, Cryptids Across America, we're going to be talking about the Cryptids of Wisconsin. But before we get into that, speaking of Wisconsin, I need to drop some really bad news. The paranormal world really suffered an impact from this, and what happened was that on a December 27th of 2019, our dear friend Kevin Malik passed away from surgical complications. And if you don't know who Kevin Malik is, he headed up the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society. He was a ufologist, and he was also a former certified field investigator for MUFON. He was a cryptid investigator, and he hosted Paraversal Universe Radio. I can barely say that. He was also a writer, and he wrote for the Supernatural magazine and Paranormal Daily News, and also for Gavin Lee Davies at the Paranormal Chronicles. Yeah. He and his wife were nice enough to do an interview with us on our show, and her name is Jennifer. If you'd like to watch that interview, I'm going to drop a link for it right there. And great couple of people, and Jennifer, our hearts really go out to you. Yeah. I know how hard this can be. I couldn't imagine losing my wife. It would just kill me. But anyway, so on with the show. I think the first thing we should probably talk about it's probably the most famous cryptid in Wisconsin, and that's the Beast of Bray Road.
Correct.
And it's said to roam the area of Bray Road, and that's located just outside the town of Elkhorn. And it's described in a couple of different ways. They say that when it's on all fours, it measures about 2 to 4 feet. And but when it's standing upright, they estimate the measurement of about like 7 feet tall.
Right.
And they think that it could weigh upwards to 400 to 700 pounds. But it's described in a couple of different ways. It's described as kind of a big, hairy, almost a Bigfoot creature. But it's also described as more like a werewolf.
Right.
And that's not to be confused with, the Dogmen of Michigan. But this thing is supposed to be even bigger than that.
Right.
And basically what it does is it just goes around and terrifies people. The eyewitness accounts date back to the formation of this state, but the majority of the sightings for this thing happened between 1989 and 1991. Now, there's still, they still have sightings today, but that's when the rash of sightings really happened.
Right.
Was in those few years for some reason. They even say that the beasts may even go back to the first settlers in that area. Yeah.
A lot of these I noticed from Wisconsin come from Native American folklore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, and what amazes me, and it amazes me about Bigfoot as well, and that is that people who report seeing these things, like I said, the rash of sightings happened in a few years between 89 and 91. But where do these things go? I mean, Wisconsin is a very heavily wooded area. I'll grant you that. Same thing with Bigfoot, especially up in the Northwest. Lots of room for them to. But why is it that they just appear once in a while?
Right.
I mean,
in stages almost.
Right. And you'd think, they'd have to breed. I mean, if this, obviously this thing is going back to when the state was first founded, and there has to be families of these things living in there. Unless it is a verifiable werewolf.
Yeah, I
You
don't.
know?
I find that
Yeah.
a little bit harder to believe.
Yeah, me too. I I would believe in vampires beyond that, or before that.
Right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, what do you have?
Well, there's a lot of lake monsters I noticed over here in Wisconsin. One of them is the bozo, and it sounds like I'm saying bozo, but it's Bozho, and that is the sea serpent of Lake Manadoti. Now, the main story that's always told more about anything than is about a guy and a girl, a couple, and she has her feet dangling in the water. They're laying there enjoying the water, and she keeps feeling something on her feet, and she looks down and sees a giant snake head.
No.
And this thing was huge, and she realized, of course, her boyfriend was laying there asleep, so it wasn't him tickling her feet. They, of course, took off running and stuff, but excuse me. This snake is known to tip over canoes and boats and just bother people. It doesn't hurt anybody. It's just more of a mischievous sea serpent.
Okay. So, do you think it's actually like a sea snake kind of thing, or is it like maybe an eel?
I remember there's a video that we've seen that it looks like it's a giant eel type. I'm picturing something like that is what they're saying. So there's also Rocky of Rock Lake. He's another one that people have encountered. What's interesting about that is the Rock Lake is just another big sea serpent one. But what's interesting is that lake actually has pyramids inside of the lake. That when they were built, the lake wasn't quite that deep. And as the water came up, it took over the pyramids and now have all of them all underwater.
Well, these are naturally forming pyramids?
No, these were actually built pyramids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that were built before the lake has been that high.
Really?
Interesting, right?
Wow.
So maybe it has something to do with that with Rocky. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think one of the funniest ones is the man bat, and that's from La Crosse. Half man, half bat.
Okay.
And it's exactly what you would expect. Big arms, big legs, big wings.
Yeah.
But I guess a father and son were driving down the street and down the road, and this thing came diving at them. And they got a good look at it, and he drew a picture of it.
Yeah, let me show you a picture of this. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting picture.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was once they saw this thing, they of course pulled over to the side of the road. The thing disappeared, but for some reason they got violently ill. They puked. They were saying they puked at least 7 times.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they thought, well, we're going to be better now. Our stomachs are empty and stuff like that. They were actually sick for a week after spotting this monster. And they swear it has to do with spotting the monster.
That almost the same occurrence happened in Illinois. And, we did one of our other Cryptids Across America. We did the Cryptids of Illinois. And they have their own version of the Mothman.
Right.
And, but the descriptions aren't like the descriptions you would get out of Virginia, of the Mothman. Those descriptions are more like a moth,
right?
But these in Illinois were more bat-like, or even like a gargoyle kind of thing,
right?
And I remember hearing a story about the Illinois Mothman. Gargoyle, whatever it is, in that a guy and his son experienced the same thing, where they got really sick after witnessing this thing.
I wonder what would cause somebody to get sick. I mean, pheromones or hormones?
Pheromones, yeah. I don't know. I have no idea. But excuse me. You were mentioning lake monsters.
Right.
And there is a creature in Devil's Lake, and it's simply called the Devil's Lake Monster. And that's in Baraboo, Wisconsin, and that's located in Sauk County. And the thing is that it's a perfect place for a lake monster because it's always mist-shrouded, I guess. I mean, I imagine a spooky, eerie lake, and I guess that's what it is. But it was originally known to the Native American Nakota Sioux tribe as, I'm going to mess this name up, Mdi Wakan. And I guess roughly translated, it means mystery or bad spirit lake. And one of the earliest legends comes from Native American lore. And what happened was the chief formed a warrior party to go out at nighttime and to go out hunting at night. And I guess the area is, flush with wildlife, you know. And as soon as they slipped into the water on the canoe, the water started bubbling up, and I guess the entire troop was taken down by something with tentacles.
Oh.
And anyway, so nobody survived the expedition. And the tribal members heard the commotion. And so, like I said, nobody did survive, but the remaining tribe annually put on a kind of a ritualistic festival on the lakeshore there in order to appease the monster.
Okay.
And this has gone. This is what I found interesting. Is that most interesting is that they have continued this festival throughout the years, and now it's more like a fun picnic kind of thing. But yeah, I guess at one time, and they took it very seriously. I mean, I imagine you would if you saw your chief and all the warriors
get swallowed
up by something with tentacles. Yeah. But
well, about the same time where we were talking about the lizard monster, or excuse me, the man bat, there was also a lizard monster spotted, also with wings and scales and that type of thing, by excuse me, a father, a son, and also a bunch of workers doing a road crew during 1997. So since it was about the same time, they think that it might be the same creature.
Yeah, possibly.
As the man bat.
Because it was pretty much described in the same way.
Right. Very much in the same way. So
and in Illinois and throughout a lot of the South, they have reports of thunderbirds, and they have them in Wisconsin as well, and mainly in southern Wisconsin. And I think I've talked to you about this before, about that, and I'm kind of a believer in this whole thunderbird thing, and I think it's a type of pterosaur, and I think that may be a type of pterosaur, the man bat, but yeah, and the reason I think that is because of the cave system throughout the South. I mean, there's plenty of places for it to hide, and I think that it could have survived, past.
And there's a lot of reports of it. It's not just one or two reports.
Right.
There's a lot of reports of them.
And like Bigfoot, like I said, it's all over the place.
Right.
So yeah.
Yep, Bigfoot in Wisconsin too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's one other one I want to talk about is the Goat Man. Now, excuse me, that's back on Hogsback Road in Herbitus, Wisconsin. And what it's described as is a man has seen this guy walking across the road, and it was literally a half man, half goat. The legs of a goat, really big, strong legs, the upper torso of a human with small arms.
Like a satyr.
Right, exactly. And, excuse me, it was in 2020, or 2003 was the last time it was saw. But they've been seeing this monster since about 1800s.
Wow, really?
So it's been very prevalent in their history. So that's another interesting one.
What was the one you were telling me about that was apparently proven to be a hoax? Some guy admitted to it.
The Hodag.
I've heard of the Hodag. I don't know a lot about it. Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, it was a frog face with an elephant's smile, a dinosaur's back and claws, and a tail that had spikes on it.
Really?
Yeah. Very odd looking.
So, and what happened with the hoax thing?
Well, I guess he had said that he had seen this animal, and of course everybody started looking for it and stuff like that. And he came out years later and said that he made up the whole thing.
So he was the only one to ever witness this.
Right.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right.
Well, that's lovely of him. But Anyway, what else you got?
That's about it. I think that's a good amount of cryptids for one state.
Right, I mean, the place is filled with them. And again, like you said, they have Bigfoot sightings there as well, Not as much probably as in like the Northwest, but there's certainly Bigfoot sightings there. And like I said about the Beast of Bray Road, some people think that is a Bigfoot type monster.
Right.
But certainly not as tall as Bigfoot.
No.
But most often, like I said, the Beast of Bray Road is mostly described as a wolf, a huge wolf, or a huge dog.
But there's pictures of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me show you. I have
that were actually captured from it.
Yeah.
It's very blurry,
and that's the problem, is that all these pictures you find of cryptids are always so blurry,
Same thing with that one.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. Folks, what do you think? Have you ever seen anything like this? Have you seen the Beast of Bray Road or any of the other cryptids in Wisconsin? Let us know. Drop us a comment on the bottom. Before we go, I want to make sure you know about our group over at Facebook. It's called the Black Lotus Discussion Group. And there we talk about all the things that we talk about here at Black Lotus. And, everything from UFOs to cryptids to ghosts to conspiracy theories to whatever. So definitely join up with us. I'll drop the link in the description at the bottom. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos. We love to see the thumbs up. So anyway, let's get out of here.
Sounds good.
Until next time, folks, keep thinking and question everything. And Kevin, we're still with you.